at the university.
Darkest Dungeon 2. Like its predecessor, Darkest Dungeon 2 is a role-playing video game developed and published by Red Hook Studios as the sequel to Darkest Dungeon 2016. The game features multiple characters, and each of them has their own unique strengths and abilities. Players can equip these characters with trinkets and combat items. The player can commandeer the stagecoach, which is the primary way of navigating the game's world. The ultimate goal is to reach a mountain, which is the source of evil that has overtaken the world. As the player explores, they will encounter different locations of interest and roadblocks, and the player will enter combat scenarios. Combat in the game is turn-based, and the heroes must be positioned properly as some of their skills cannot be used when they are standing in a wrong spot. As the player explores the world, they can also visit shrines of reflection, where players can learn more about the backstories of the game's characters. If you are lovers of turn-based games, I highly recommend this game for you. Amnesia: The Bunker. This game, as the name would imply, is set in a bunker. However, the time period it is set in is during the First World War. This gives the game a distinct location and place in history. This is sure to aid both immersion and allows the player to solve problems themselves. In addition, the game seems to have an emphasis on dynamic enemy encounters. These inclusions are sure to make for a great time. Amnesia: The Bunker is likely to give players the same gripping psychological horror that the series is known for. Players will be able to unravel the mystery of their situation and figure out exactly what is going on in this game's world. This allows the player to experience the narrative piece by piece as they work out what is happening throughout the game. Fans of the series are no doubt excited to see the new directions that the series is going to go in. Age of Wonders 4. Age of Wonders 4 is the latest installment in the classic strategy series that blends 4X, turn-based combat, and fantasy role-playing, and will offer more customization than ever before. Like past Age of Wonders titles, gameplay centers around building an empire with a boundless amount of customization options. The series has returned to a fantasy setting following its sci-fi spin-off Age of Wonders: Planetfall, and players will begin each game by selecting a magical realm. Each has their own unique characteristics, inhabitants, and terrain, and the main story realms will contain narrative events as well. If you like RTS games, so you must try this one. Warhammer 40,000 Boltgun. The Warhammer 40,000 series is one of the most recognizable series in both tabletop and video gaming. This series sees players play in unique war-torn landscapes. Players this time around will be able to engage in fast-paced FPS gameplay as they move throughout the world as a space marine. In addition, the game aesthetically pulls a lot of inspiration from shooters of yesteryear, such as the earlier Doom games. This is great as it capitalizes on the interest in such games, which has become rather a niche among the larger video game space. The game features fluid gameplay, which allows the player to fight against hordes or enemies. This quickly becomes rather enthralling and feeds into the game's gameplay loop. Additionally, there are several different levels for players to move throughout, each of which feeds into the gritty, nostalgia-filled aesthetic. All in all, Warhammer 40,000 Boltgun appears to be taking inspiration from the best of the best in terms of classic FPS games. Atlas Fallen. Atlas Fallen is an action role-playing video game developed by Deck 13 Interactive and published by Focus Entertainment. At the beginning of the game, players can create and customize their own player avatar. The player is equipped with an ancient gauntlet that allows them to manipulate sand. With the gauntlet, players can shape the sand around them into weapons. Players can use 3 different weapons, though they can only carry 2 at any given time. Unlike Deck 13's previous games, Atlas Fallen is a more traditional action game. Players are required to dodge, counter, and block incoming attacks, as well as quickly switching between land and air combat. The game features multiple open regions for players to explore, and players can meet different non-playable characters and complete various side quests and activities. As the player progresses in the game, they will find shards and catalyst pieces, which further upgrade the gauntlet's combat capabilities. The game also includes a 2-player cooperative multiplayer mode. This game will be perfect for those of you who like to play with friend. After Us. After Us tells a story of environmentalism that aligns with 2022's endling extinction is forever. The game takes place in a post-human world where players assume the role of Gaia, the personification of nature and the planet. The focus on traversing the landscape of the post-human world highlights After Us platforming mechanics. Players will be tasked with salvaging the souls of extinct animals by reviving them and learning their final fate. Gaia will seek to then return these animals back to her ark. Along the way, navigation through the world will lead Gaia through After Us stunning landscapes and vistas that feature the beauty of nature as well as the horror of a decimated world with the remnants of an industrial society. The Outlast Trials. The Outlast Trials is a first-person survival horror game that happens in the Outlast universe. Just like in the series' 2 previous games, players cannot outright fight back against the game's many dangers. However, this does not mean that the players are completely defenseless. The key difference in this game is that the player is no longer alone. Up to 4 players can help each other in each of the game's trials, all in pursuit of a common goal. Although this game happens in the same universe as Outlast 1 and 2, it is a standalone game. That means that players do not need to play those games to enjoy this one. Ravenlok. Coming from developer Coco Cucumber, Ravenlok is a single-player action RPG game. Upon encountering a mystical mirror, Ravenlok is whisked away to a whimsical world plagued by the sinister darkness of a tyrannical queen. Destiny awaits all in an unforgettable and heartfelt adventure. Players will have to battle against fearsome beasts with a variety of skills along with an arsenal of bombs. On your journey, you will meet the curious inhabitants of this world and help them fight back against the encroaching darkness. If you want to feel the experience of playing an RPG with the stunning landscape of a fairy tale world, this game is certainly for you.
Couldn't have drifted better myself.
LEGO 2K Drive. LEGO 2K Drive is a racing game played from a third-person perspective. The game is set in Bricklandia, which consists of a number of regions which can be freely explored by players. In addition to completing the story, players can complete different minigames and challenges in the game's world. In the game, players can create their vehicles with 1,000 LEGO pieces, although more conventional options, such as those from LEGO City and LEGO Creator, are also available. Vehicles can also transform. For example, a land-based vehicle can transform into a boat when it is driven into water. The game also features a destructible environment. The game also includes both cooperative and competitive multiplayer modes. 2-player split screen and 6-player online play will also be available. This will be a fun game that is perfect for playing with friends. Miasma Chronicles. From the creators of Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden comes a beautifully crafted tactical adventure you won't forget. Miasma Chronicles puts you in the shoes of Elvis, a teenage mechanic with a rare high-tech glove, and his saucy, enterprising robot older brother, Diggs. A primal, almost supernatural force called Miasma has turned America into a post-apocalyptic wasteland, with the black, flux-like substance twisting and turning the heartland into a mutated version of itself. When Elvis was a baby, his mother left him in the Kentucky mining town of Sedentary, but bequeathed the glove to him that has the power to control the miasma. This strange piece of technology ultimately has the power to shape the future of America, but all Elvis really wants is to find his biological family. Combat works more or less in the typical grid-based tactical RPG. Hiding behind partial or full cover is important unless you want to be aggressive. The Lord of the Rings Gollum. The Lord of the Rings as a franchise is absolutely huge. Among this behemoth of a franchise, there are quite a few interesting characters that have stood the test of time. Among these characters, there is Gollum, Smeagol. This character both covets and protects the One Ring throughout the series. That brings us to the events of The Lord of the Rings Gollum. Players will be able to protect the ring and go throughout the world, all the while learning more about the duality of their character. This is a great direction for the game to go into and is sure to bring unique moments to the game itself. The game seems to do a great job of blending together action and stealth gameplay. This is great and allows the game to appeal to a wider range of players. Learning more about the character, however, is definitely at the forefront of this game. So, if you are a Lord of the Rings fan or simply want to play one of the most anticipated PC games in May 2023, definitely check this one out, as it hopes to bring a one-of-a-kind experience.
I'm gonna have to take you apart again. Hey, Dad.
Redfall. Redfall is a game in which players will have to use their teamwork skills, as well as FPS skills, to ward off a horde of vampires. This leads the player to engage with the game's team-oriented systems, as well as its varied cast of characters. In addition, the game itself has a really nice presentation. And the world of Redfall appears, at least so far, to be relatively well realized. This goes a long way in helping the game's world feel like a true world and less so like an array of locations. The game's gameplay appears to be quite good, as the animations and sound design appear top-notch. This is sure to make it one of the most anticipated titles on PC. So, if you are looking for games to play in May 2023, Redfall is simply a must-play. The game also encourages multiplayer gameplay, which is sure to add to the longevity of the game, as well as create more gameplay options.
Everybody, fall back! People need to know what happened.
So, what's your take on our picks for the 12 best PC games coming out in May 2023? Let us know over on the comments below. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.